Hi guys, Yuki here, back with Seduce Me Too, the Demon War. Alternate routes part 6? 7? I'll get back to you on that. Anyways, I just want to thank everybody for their nice comments that they've been posting recently. And, I don't know, let's just get on with this. I have no idea how long this is going to take me. I'm hoping to be done by sometime in November and move on to a new, I guess, game, but not exact. I have a couple of ideas of what I want to do, but I was wondering if anybody had any input, suggestions or anything that they would want to see on this channel. So yeah, just let me know in the comments below and stuff like that. Let's get to it. I finally arrived at my room, but as soon as I entered, something wasn't right. I felt something was off just from stepping inside, but there was no one there. Was I just exhausted and imagining things? I consciously entered, looking around. Nothing seemed to be out of place visually, but my nerves felt on edge. What was happening? Hello? Despite feeling silly speaking to an empty room, I had to see if anything or anyone would respond. Maybe they were hiding. Maybe something was creeping around and would be surprised by my voice. There was no response, but I still didn't feel easy. Something was seriously wrong. I'm gonna leave the room. I didn't want to deal with whatever this feeling had in store for me. I quickly turned on my heel and rushed for the door, only to have it slammed closed as I approached. Huh? I grabbed the handle, pulling at it roughly. The door would not budge, intensifying my panic. I began to beat on the door, trying to bust it down, but the wood somehow became stronger than steel. Despite this, the energy in the room suddenly froze. What? I looked around, now unsure what to think. Whatever was here had succeeded in trapping me, so I needed to deal with whatever it was. Baring my teeth and stepping further into the room, I scanned the room for any movement. Who's there? What do you want?
You do not belong here, human.
Oh. The voice that replied sent fear rushing through my body. I looked around to try and pin down the directions of the voice, but it seemed to just echo around the room. Who are you? What do you want?
You meddle in things beyond your comprehension. Why must you attempt to toy with destiny?
I remained silent for a moment. This was an angel, speaking in English to me. I didn't know how it was speaking to me now after they had attempted to wipe my memories and haunt me. Still, at least I would be able to learn more as to why. I glared into the room and continued to look around. I'm not toying with anything. James chose to stay with me, and he and I are going to be married.
Raestro's fate has been set. You have no place in it.
Before I could react, I felt myself become enveloped in chains. I looked down to see my entire body wrapped in lines of white and gold chains squeezing me tightly, and I winced in pain. Oh, here comes a bad end.
Your mind is protected, but the spell will not last. Once it is faded, you will be properly baptized.
I don't want to. No!
Love, what is going on in there?
I stared at the door, hearing James bang against it from the other side. The door was locked from the outside too. I glared at the door before shutting my eyes and calling out his true name. Raestro! With a flash of bright light, James appeared inside the room, shocked but suddenly enraged at seeing me in chains. Before he could rush forward to help me, however, his body was wrapped in chains as well. No!
Ah! What is this?
You cannot defy your destiny, demon.
My destiny?
I pulled against the chains around me, hoping to somehow break free. Despite it being to no avail, I continued to thrash and pull.
Your destiny is to rule this world. You cannot escape it.
I can't even remember if this actually happened. It probably happened before, but it's been so long that I don't even remember.
My destiny is of my own making!
Your destiny is set in stone.
The room around us began to glow and blind us as we were forced to shut our eyes tightly. Gah!
No matter. We will cleanse you both soon enough.
I could feel the chains drag me beneath the ground in some sort of space. Cold waves rushed against my skin as I was dragged through a void I could not see. Where were we being taken? I didn't know how long I was out for. I had no way to tell how long I had been unconscious. All I knew was that James and I were in trouble. What was going to happen now that we were prisoners of the angels? Nervousness sank into my mind as I could do nothing but float in the empty darkness created by the angels who had confined me in a cocoon of chains. Slowly, my nerves came back to life, and I found myself awakening from the dark. What I didn't expect was to no longer feel chains around me, but soft, familiar silk beneath me. What the... I rubbed my eyes and slowly opened them to see a familiar gray ceiling. It couldn't be. No. Sitting up, my heart caught in my chest. I was back in my room. I was in the human world. How was this possible? Where was James? I jumped out of my bed and rushed for the door, pulling it open. James? I called out but heard no response. I rushed to the lobby and looked around to see it still intact. The air felt familiar and real, and I wasn't imagining things. I couldn't have been. At the same time, I knew that the curse had been lifted. I couldn't have returned to the demon world unless I died. Was I dead? I began to panic. What was going on? My heart stopped at the sound of Diana's voice, more so from the moment than somehow reached my ears. I turned to where the sound came from, realizing the direction. Awkward. The library. I rushed over and quickly pushed the door open, running inside. What I saw made my heart tear instantly in two. On the ground were Diana and James, both in demon form, embracing each other. James had his face buried in Diana's neck as she clawed at his back, arcing against him and moaning into the air. This couldn't be real. This wasn't real. Before I could scream, time seemed to freeze, causing the room and the world around me to become still. I looked around, realizing that I could still move, and turned away from the sight.
Do you know why I am showing this to you, human?
F you. I don't remember. I think I probably did that before, but meh. If this was the angel's attempt to prove something, it was sick and twisted. There was no reason to show this to me, especially when the one I was marrying was engaging with the woman who had wanted to take him away.
This was the time when Raistra was destined to return to the Abyssal Plains. Isaiah would have convinced him to go home, and they would have consummated their engagement before returning to take their birthrights.
No.
It is the truth. The only event that stopped it from happening was your voyeurism and intrusion.
I will not let him go.
How selfish. Humans are all selfish creatures. But that is to be expected when safety is handed to them on a silver platter.
The angel was toying with me, and I despised hearing every word it spoke. I turned back around and focused my attention on James, knowing that this was fake and remembering the real scenario.
Do you understand the full consequences of your actions?
I regret nothing. Upon my final word, the room went black and began to reek of blood. I started to gag and cover my mouth and nose at the horrid smell. What was happening now? Where did the angel take me? I followed Diana's voice to see a crack of light slowly open, revealing Diana. Her face was painted with worry and concern, but upon opening the door, her expression shifted from concern to absolute broken shock. From the light of the door, I was able to finally see the room I was in. Blood covered every surface, gore decorated every inch, and I was standing a couple of feet from the center where 3 objects laid. Barely coated in blood, at the center were 2 broken adult-sized crowns and a smaller crown, large enough to barely fit a newborn's head. Diana's eyes darted through the room, both in disbelief and in utmost horror. She barely forced herself to step into the room, dropping to her knees in front of the items and bringing them to her chest.
No! No!
My heart broke at the sight of Diana. Tears were streaming down her face as she clutched the crowns against her chest.
Your selfishness cost a kingdom their beloved rulers, and a daughter her only family.
I couldn't say anything. I wanted to fight and shout back that I still didn't regret taking James away, but seeing Diana completely broke and silenced any will to speak.
I see that you're beginning to understand.
Stay silent. There was nothing I could say. Any desire to fight back was dissolved by Diana's sobs and cries.
However, your choice to defy destiny has done more damage than this.
Before my eyes, the room vanished once again, and I found myself surrounded by flames. What the?
Burn everything to the ground!
I looked around, trying to find the source and direction of the voice. This was just an illusion, but the heat of the flames seemed too real to ignore or shake off.
This was the last thing many lives were forced to see before dying at the hands of the madman demon lord.
Stop it! I gripped my head, shutting my eyes tightly. I didn't want to see anymore. I didn't want to be here anymore. If this was the angel's torture, this was truly unbearable.
Do you not see the price of your selfishness? You are the sole reason why millions of lives have been lost. You are the sole reason why an entire world is burning. Your love causes death. Your love will do nothing but bring you pain and suffering for all of eternity. Every minute you hold on to this false hope is another child dying, another kingdom falling, another battle waged. Give him up.
All at once, my head became filled with cries and screams of people I didn't know of. Pain from men, women, and children echoed in my mind as I gripped at my head, wanting it to stop. The heat around me was unbearable. I could barely stand it. I'm sorry. I couldn't take it anymore. I was plagued by visions of us separating. I was warned of why I shouldn't be with James. The more I listened, the more my heart painfully understood this was beyond my control and this was something I should not have interfered with. I had to give up. I fell to my knees, feeling the flames around me fade away and be replaced by a room full of falling feathers. I covered my eyes and sobbed, feeling my heart dying. I love James, but this is too much. I was only human after all. A warm hand placed itself on my head, but I felt no strength to look up at who it was.
You are a human. You do not belong in this world of darkness.
Well,
may your sins be cleansed for all of eternity, and may the gates of heaven be open to you once more.
But I didn't do anything wrong. I couldn't listen to him. My soul was fighting me. My mind was spinning. My body wanted desperately to stand. But I couldn't. My heart no longer could take the tragedy this road was taking me on. I needed to stop. I felt warmth envelop my body and a white light take over my mind. I felt my mind slowly dissolve all of my memories. Everything I went through, everything I had done, gone. And an angel's forgiveness. Well, that's not the main bad end, but I'm getting to it, so just bear with me for a moment. That was still really sad. Okay. Angel's achievement unlocked and angel's forgiveness. Okay, let's load back up. And I love him? No, this wasn't happening. I needed to get out of here. I shouted to the skies, knowing the angel would hear me. However, I rushed forward through the flames surrounding me and hoping to break free somehow. What I managed to do was break through some sort of glass wall, destroying the world around me.
Love!
I fell to the floor, surrounded by shattered glass. Shaking my head, I quickly looked up, recognizing the sight before me from a nightmare. James was bolted to a wall with a burnt cross over his chest. He stared wide at me, uncaring of the bubbling heat dancing over the new scar, as cloaked figures turned their heads towards me. I don't have to look at them to know that they were angels. From what I knew, they had holy magic that could disable demon magic, so fighting with any form of magic I knew was not a good idea. However, I was human. I had pure physical force. I quickly jumped back up and squared off, ready to take on my husband's captors. However, I found myself quickly wrapped in gold chains once again. I felt the chains around me squeeze my body like a snake suffocating its prey. I struggled and panted, trying to take in air.
No!
Is that another death for me? I could hear James struggling against the bindings to keeping him up on the wall. I heard every desperate sound his body made as he pulled on his limbs, but to be let free. However, I could tell he had no strength left to break free. The chains tightened themselves around me, one line snaking around my throat and finally choking me.
If we cannot cleanse you, then we will erase you.
Okay.
Stop! No! Please!
Oh gosh. The chains tightened even further. My body began to spasm and quake in the cocoon, tears spilling down my cheeks from lack of air. I desperately needed to breathe. The room began to spin as my body began to lose feeling. Finally, I had no choice but to let go. Divine punishment? Okay. Alright. That's the next one. I Now I need to actually go back and... well, one moment. I'm gonna have to do something. I have to go back a little bit to actually get the, actual bad end. So, one moment. Be back in a sec. Okay, guys, I'm back. So, she asked if nightmares were gone or whatever. Yeah, I wooed. I should probably change the... No, it's fine. I came back. I changed a couple of my responses in order to be able to get past the angels. So, went all the way with James so that he stands a chance. And then afterwards, we're gonna try to get the bad end for that. And then here, instead of saying no or I don't know, we were like, yeah, we took care of the angel problem, I think. So yeah, we're talking to Diana now. So let's get to it. I had to have dealt with it. They didn't visit that night, and I was going to help James become powerful enough to break him from his destiny. It was an interesting ride, but I was certain it would work. Diana nodded slightly before crossing her arms.
Very well.
Diana stared at me, digging into my gaze to try and find some sort of other answer in my eyes. However, I remained steadfast. I didn't want to worry her anymore if James and I couldn't handle it on our own. According to Sarah, we could. Diana sighed before turning to leave.
All right. May today go smoothly.
I nodded as she left. I hoped today would go smoothly as well. Another round of surprises would kill me. The cloaked figures quickly conjured chains on their hands, but not fast enough to avoid James forming a familiar-looking gold pistol in his hand and shooting down his attackers. What shocked me was how they fell. Instead of them falling to the ground as the bullets ripped through the cloaks, the fabric burnt away and the ash vanished into the air as if blown away by the wind.
Filthy demon! Your acts shall not go unpunished!
Send every angel in heaven at me! I will not let you touch her again!
Taking the chance, I rushed over to James and wrapped my arms around him at last. My body felt at ease while holding him as he wrapped his free arm around my waist and held me close. I could feel his power radiating off his skin, tickling my nerves. As the large gold pentagram appeared at our feet, a third cloak being stepped up from the far end of the room, stepping over the glass I'd broken through and fallen on. James tightened his grip around me and aimed at the figure.
You cannot escape your destiny.
As it figured, James fired a shot at the angel. The bullet ripped through the cloak, but the figure did not die like his companions. James didn't seem to care.
That was your one warning.
We do not fear you.
Come after her again, and I will teach you the meaning of fear.
With an angry snarl that reverberated through the room, the cloaked figure bent forward towards us, shoving its veiny hand. From its back sprouted two large and proud white wings riddled with hundreds of gorgeously placed feathers. However, before the angel could lunge for us, we sank into the ground at last, escaping into darkness. James gripped me tightly as I held onto him, guiding me through the void we ran. Into the darkness we both sank. I shut my eyes, scared of where we were going to, but knowing that everything was all right now that James was with me, I was safe in his arms. When we finally came out of the dark, we were standing in the middle of the war room where everyone seemed to be gathered.
Whoa!
Hey, what the hell? Oh my god, you're all right.
James and I looked around, seeing the shocked and surprised faces of the rebel leaders and the Incubi brothers and their wives. Overlooking to Diana, her face instantly melted from surprise to anger. James released me as Diana suddenly marched to him, staring at him with a blank expression. The expression stayed on as Diana slammed her palm across his cheek, the sound reverberating through the room.
Hey! Do you both realize how long you have been missing?
It's not like we could stop it from happening.
2 days.
Do you realize how many assets we have spent in preparing to find you both?
Don't want to talk, but Diana...
Do not apologize! I don't want to hear it!
Diana turned and walked back to her spot, crossing her arms and curling her shoulders over herself.
If you two had died, this war would have been for nothing.
I frowned, understanding what she meant. Because of us, the war happened, so we had to take responsibility. However, now was not the time to get angry. Diana, we're back now. That's all that matters. Once again, silence took control of the air before Diana took in a deep breath and let out a sigh, relaxing at last. The very last thing I wanted was for Diana to explode about this.
Were they angels?
Yes.
Did you kill them to escape?
2 of them.
Diana turned her head and looked at James in slight surprise.
You realize that killing angels of heaven will put a bounty on your head, correct?
I silently gulped, remembering the angel swearing to punish James for what he had done. James didn't seem to be fazed as he wrapped an arm around me.
Let them come. I will not let them hurt her again.
My cheeks warmed a bit as I looked up at James, seeing him smile lovingly at me. I smiled back, seeing the deep and pure emotion he felt for me within his eyes. He would protect me with all of his might, and I would be with him for as long as I could. With a sigh, Diana rubbed her temple and turned around, glaring at me and James. Her look could kill, but I knew that beneath her anger she was relieved to see us. In a strange way, I could see the amusement behind her hard glare.
Well, now that everyone is accounted for, we are set. We are ready to march on to the Demon Lord's castle and end this once and for all.
The realization of the date hit me. If we had been missing for 2 days, then we were an evening away from heading out for the final battle. Fear quaked my core for a moment, but my embrace with James shook it away.
We leave in the morning?
That's the plan. Get some rest, you two. You both need it.
Man, now I'll never know if he actually got the rose for Diana. Sarah, I mean. Without letting anyone interrupt her, Diana turned and left the room. I smiled a bit, knowing that deep in her heart she cared about us. The other rebels left as well, most likely to go to prepare themselves.
Dude, what's on your chest?
Sam pointed at the cross on James's chest, making everyone look at it. I bit my lip, but James waved his hand dismissively.
A battle scar, nothing more.
A scar that still needs to be examined.
Eric walked over along with Damien, and both demons began to investigate it.
All right. Love, you can go back to the room if you want. I'll be there shortly.
Okay. I nodded before feeling sudden exhaustion hit me hard. I yawned and waved to the others before I walked out of the room, making my way toward our bed. I began to head back to my room, ready for what was going to happen tomorrow. Everything would be decided then.
You cruel, selfish bastard!
Oh gosh! Okay, I'm ready. A shout, however, interrupted my journey to my room. I froze in place before turning my head towards a door that was barely open a small crack. It was the door leading to the Grand Hall, Sarah's training room. What was Diana there, though, and who was she yelling at? I peeked inside to see Diana glare into the darkness with her arm crossed tightly over her chest. As I squinted, trying to see what she was glaring at, I silently gasped. Oh no, what did I really hope Sarah's not, like, seriously injured. I'm gonna be terribly horrible feeling if he did. Sarah! Sarah was kneeling in the dark before his mistress, his head bowed low in shame. When did he return? More than that, why was he keeping his head down? Was he not successful on his mission?
Where in the 7 planes of hell have you been, Sarah?
My lady,
You left the castle with no notification or warning, and you activated your damn holy magic to deny me the right to summon you to my side. How dare you!
If you would let me...
And now you suddenly waltz back into the castle with a smile on your face as if you had gone out and killed the Demon Lord himself. Explain yourself!
Gosh. Staring at Diana, I could see her face burning as red with rage, her cheeks, however, glistening as rogue tears ran down them. Sarah kept his head down but continued to plead with Diana.
My lady, I was on a personal quest. I had to retrieve something I believed to be important, and it was incredibly selfish of me to do so. I'm sorry, but I needed to complete this task before we went into battle.
You placed this quest over your duty to me?
Well, it was for you?
Only this once, my lady. It needed to be done immediately, and I greatly apologize for doing so, but I promise my journey bore results.
Do you not realize how worried you made me? I have barely rested these past 3 nights because of you.
I stared at Diana wide-eyed in shock. She was concerned about him? Sarah seemed to be surprised as well, eyes wide and staring at the ground. However, he didn't lift his head, most likely still following a demand previously given to him to keep his head down.
My lady, I'm deeply sorry.
Sorry doesn't make this better. What if you were killed? What if I was killed? You are supposed to be by my side at all times. You broke the vow that you made not only to me, but to my family, that you would stay with me and protect me.
My lady, please!
Enough! I've heard enough!
No, you didn't, Diana. I'm gonna be over there and be like, hey, listen to him. Give her a little kick to the butt and be like, yeah. Diana turned away from Sarah, looking to the ground and clutching her eyes shut. More rogue tears ran down her face as she gritted her teeth. Sarah finally lifted his face, shocked to see her back instead of her face.
You are dismissed.
No!
You are no longer permitted to be in the same room as me until further notice.
No!
My lady.
I said you are dismissed.
Come on, Mia, do
Sarah.
something. Sorry, I keep interrupting her, but this is important.
Isair.
You do not have permission to use my...
Thank you, Sarah, for finally taking initiative. All of a sudden, Sarah lunged forward and wrapped his arms around Diana's arms and chest, hugging her body to his tightly, and she released a tearful gasp of surprise. Sarah buried his face in her shoulder as Diana stared wide at the wall ahead of her. Diana froze in his arms as Sarah clutched her body to his, locking it against his chest.
Do not send me away from you. I broke my vow, yes, but I did it for a reason. I cannot bear the thought of being separated from you. Not after what I have discovered.
I stared, feeling my heart clench. It was like watching a romantic drama, where the two leads were either going to break up or confess their love for each other. I actually really hate, soap operas, but that's the high point. The air was tense and full of both anticipation and fear. Diana remained frozen in Sarah's arms as he lifted his head and gently relaxed his embrace around her.
Isair, I've brought you something.
You... What?
Diana finally began to move, slowly turning around in Sarah's arms to look up at him in confusion. Sarah frowned, seeing her tearful and red face, and gently brought a hand up to her cheek. He gingerly wiped the tears from Diana's eyes with the back of his fingers before cupping her face. Diana didn't lean in, but she didn't object to it.
I've brought you something very important. It may not seem important to this war, but it's important to me.
My heart caught itself in my throat. Did he? Sarah released Diana's cheek before waving his hand between their faces, black and purple mist forming in the air, shifting into something small. As it finally materialized, Diana gasped, and I silently echoed her reaction. In the air floated a beautiful golden rose on a dark green thornless stem. It had mostly blossomed, showing its beautiful petals and glowing softly in between Sarah and Diana. It slowly turned in the air, showing Diana all of its magnificence. I gotta have a screenshot of this. Okay.
The golden rose. A symbol and proof of my love for you, Isair. I've wanted to retrieve it for you for the longest time, and now I finally have.
Sarah.
I love you so much. You have given my life so much meaning, and I have sworn my life to protecting you. Isair, you are the most precious and the most beautiful woman to ever grace the 5 worlds, and being with you every day fills me with such joy. If this is what it takes to prove my love for you, then I will happily give you thousands of golden roses for as long as I have breath. But please, know now that my feelings for you are pure and true.
I felt like crying as I watched the scene unfold. Diana was stunned, streams of rogue tears once again falling down her cheeks as she stared at Sarah. The rose slowly lowered to float between their chests as if it was patiently waiting for something to happen.
You are my everything. My moon, my stars, my world. Please, Isair, do not send me away from you.
Sarah, you idiot.
Sarah let out a soft chuckle as Diana wiped her eyes with a very, very small smile.
Insult me all you like. I deserve it for leaving your side. However, now that I've proven my love to you, I must know the truth. Do you love me?
Diana looked at Sarah as her smile grew even more slightly bleh. Something about Diana changed as she looked up at him. Her eyes seemed to be lighter and full of joy. My heart melted at the way they looked at each other. Sarah watched Diana with curiosity, and Diana gazing at Sarah in warm elation. Diana lifted her hand to the rose and gently cupped it underneath its petals, making Sarah look down and gasp. In Diana's hands, the rose fully bloomed, revealing its innermost gold, almost white petals. Sarah looked back up at Diana, seeing her cry joyful tears and fighting back tears of his own.
I do, Sarah. More than you could ever know. I was just...
Sarah gently shushed her, cupping her cheek gently and wiping the tears away with his thumb. For the first time, at least from what I had seen, Diana nuzzled into his hand, closing her eyes. She looked so innocent and pure with Zero now. Was this the real Diana?
Whatever fear you had, let it go. I swear to never hurt you and to love you until time stands still.
I stared teary-eyed as Sarah gently took the rose from between them and placed it in Diana's hair behind her ear. Diana waited until he finished before reaching up and wrapping her arms around his neck.
I love you too, Sarah.
Yay! At last, Sarah wrapped his arms around Diana's waist and pulled her close as they both leaned in and finally kissed. It was a magical sight to behold. Their love echoed in the kiss, making each other almost glow in the room. I felt my cheeks warm and an uncontrollable blush as I watched. This is awkward. I don't know. Beep. I'm gonna go over here. This is awkward. I should leave them alone, but I'm gonna keep watching. I feel bad. It was beautiful to watch unfold. Diana and Sarah finally found love within each other. I was giddy and excited for them both. As they slowly pulled away, Diana slightly slapped his chest, making Sarah laugh a bit.
You really did worry me.
I know, and I'm sorry.
I'll forgive you if you tell me one thing.
Anything.
Did our guest convince you to do this?
Maybe. My heart caught in my throat, but out of fear, not excitement. Was Sarah going to tell on me? I was the one who convinced him to go, but would Diana punish me for giving him the idea? No. Sarah tightened his hold around Diana's waist, making her gasp slightly before nuzzling nose to nose with her.
I was merely given advice and counsel. I chose to leave on my own.
I let out a silent sigh as Diana chuckled and ran her hand along Sarah's cheek.
Sarah, I know when you are lying to me, but I'll let it go this time. At least you're safe here, with me now.
And I will never leave your side again.
The pair smiled at each other before Sarah captured Diana's lips again in another loving kiss. As she kissed back, a dark purple pentagram appeared beneath the pair and slowly drew them into the floor. Well, okay. They probably wanted some real alone time. I shook my head, laughing at myself before turning on my heel and heading back to my room. Well. Oh, it's only been 18 minutes? I feel like it's been a lot longer. Yeah, okay. Well, no, actually it has been since... Oh, well. Yeah, I'm gonna end it here. So we will finally conclude James is bad and... then. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!